Just a few words before we get into the video itself. I had a complaint and it was a bit harsh, but it was also valid about the look of the videos. I've been very concerned about what people might or might not think about black bars in the videos, so I had made the decision to force the recording into a 16:9 resolution, which is not something the Amiga natively would support. The complaint taken into consideration, I had a look at it and I did some testing, and I mean, I've been painfully aware of the fact that it made the Amiga resolution look off, but because of trying to avoid black bars on the videos, I accepted that compromise, even though I wasn't happy with it. But some test recordings later, I will fully agree with the complaint. It looks horrible. It absolutely looks horrible. It basically disgraces the Amiga, which it was never intended to. So from this video onwards, what's going to happen is the recordings are going to be natively Amiga. The videos are still going to be 16:9, but in order to take some of the sting out of the black bars, I will crop the videos slightly, but not to the point where it can possibly affect the Amiga's native resolution. I hope that is a compromise that everyone can be happy with, because it makes the videos look much better. Hello, and welcome to a look at Lemmings for the Amiga. A quite unique puzzle game that you may have seen, similar to later on, but definitely not before this game. In Lemmings, your task is to guide your lemmings home, and in order to guide them home, you have various different jobs you can give them in order to make sure they actually get home. Much like their real-life counterparts, lemmings in this game will walk until they hit an obstacle, and then they will turn around until they hit another obstacle, or fall off a ledge, or walk into a fire trap, or get smacked by whatever. Yeah. Once they start moving, they don't stop unless you order them to do something. Something you can do is to give them a job, and if wait till the next level before we go over the job interface or the interface in general. This level should be as soon as Mr. Slowpoke gets his backside going. We should be able to. Alright. Interface time. At the top of the screen you will have a trapdoor opening, or depending on the level it could be more than one. But lemmings will fall through said trapdoor and they will move, as I was saying before, until you give them a job, or until they hit a hard surface or fall off a ledge. Down the bottom of the screen you can see you have different options. You can increase the release rate, which is set to a minimum. You cannot lower the release rate, but you can increase it. And then you have the various jobs you can give them. You have climbers, floaters, bombers, bloggers, builders, bashers, miners, and diggers. And depending on the level, you will have to utilize each different role in order to get the lemmings through the level. Each level has a set amount of lemmings appearing, and each level will also have a certain percentage of set lemmings that needs to be rescued in order to complete the level. The levels also have a time limit, but by and large that time limit on a fun difficulty level is more a don't take too long, right? Because it's quite generous, let me put it that way. You can still run out of time though, because some of the puzzles, the puzzle scaling is actually quite clever, because the first few puzzles are just basically tutorial puzzles, and then they start getting more and more complicated. And once you reach the end of the fun levels, you are warmed up for the next difficulty level, which is tricky. And despite the fact that it's one step up from fun, which of course is the easiest difficulty level, you will quickly find that it scales up quite fast in the trickiness of the difficulty and the levels. And as you progress through tricky, you will find that you are warmed up for the next difficulty level, and so on. While some of the puzzles are deceptively easy, you don't progress far into the game before you start having to think about what you are doing. And I know for a fact that all puzzles are, I wouldn't say easily completable, but they are completable. People have beaten this game. I haven't. I am not necessarily a puzzle fan, and I don't necessarily have the patience to complete a game like this, but others have definitely beaten it, and as I said, all levels are possible to beat, but they will definitely require thinking quickly and sometimes a bit out of the box, which is the hallmark of a clever puzzle game. Let's talk graphics, sound, and all that good stuff, and get that out of the way. The graphics are absolutely excellent for this game. It does exactly what it needs to do. It's clean, it's clear. The animation is limited, but it doesn't have to be more complicated than it is. But it's perfectly suitable for the game. As a puzzle game, on the graphical side, Lemmings definitely delivers on all fronts. It's crisp and clean, and you have no doubt as to what you have got your lemmings to do once they start digging, bashing, building, and climbing, and falling, and splattering, and all sorts of other things. And of course, if you get frustrated with a level, you have the option to nuke the level, which will basically put a bomb on all your lemmings on screen and will reward you with a somewhat satisfying pixel shower. There is something devilishly satisfying about seeing them pop. The sound, the iconic "Let's Go," I think it will ring quite a few memories to most Amiga gamers. It is such an iconic little line, and of course the music, which is renditions of known and hopefully not YouTube flagging tunes, are epic. It's hard not to love these renditions of known themes, and I'm very sure there's a few unique ones, and all of them are absolutely delightful in their own way. Cheerful, exciting, all that good stuff. I mean, it's hard not to somewhat fall in love with the tunes in this game. The rest of the sound effects are perfectly acceptable, serviceable, great, whatever you call them. I rushed that a bit because I want to draw attention to one of the more iconic levels in Lemmings. I think most people who played this game will remember this specific level, called We All Fall Down. If you paid attention to the briefing of this level, we have to rescue every single lemming. And this ledge they're walking on, it is just high enough that if they walk off said ledge, they will fall to their death. But if they dig through the ledge, they will not fall to their death. So basically you have to make sure that all the lemmings are digging through the top platform in order to survive the fall and exit the level. One mistake and you can restart the level. It's not particularly fair, but it sets you up for what tricky starts requiring of you, and it can be a bit frustrating if you just misclick once when you have 4 lemmings remaining. Then yeah, you can restart the level. But it's part of the learning experience, and it's part of what makes the game enjoyable. The fact that you face a puzzle and you struggle with it, and then suddenly it dawns on you out of nowhere, this is the solution, and then you realize that maybe the puzzle wasn't half as complicated as you initially thought. And there is a personal sense of achievement in beating some of the later puzzles, which are incredibly devious. But that is the hallmark of a great game. The fact that it requires that you to spend some time with it. It may at times seem unfair, but once you work the puzzles out, you will realize that they are not unfair. It just requires either quick thinking or creative thinking. Well, this level will complete itself. I think a few words about Lemmings in general is in order, because Lemmings is unique in more than one way. It is actually one of the few computer games that was converted to an arcade game down the line. The Amiga version is uniquely unique, but it is of course not the only version available. It was ported to different other systems, consoles and all sorts of things. But the unique aspect is the fact that the Amiga version was converted to an arcade version, which then was converted to other platforms. I know that it popped up on other home computers, and I don't know whether they use the Amiga version as base or the arcade version as base. The main difference between the Amiga and arcade version was the fact that for the arcade version a fast forward option was added. That was basically the only change that was made, and of course DMA, when they made Lemmings 2, borrowed that option from the arcade version and introduced it so that Lemmings 2 would have a fast forward option as well. When it comes to puzzles, I mean, certain puzzle games are very, very simple and some of them are very, very complicated, and I think Lemmings strikes a happy middle ground between the two. Some levels are extremely simple, some levels are extremely complicated, and most of them, especially the very, very complicated and devious ones, It's just a question of taking the time to observe what the obstacles are caused by and how to get around them. And of course, at higher difficulty levels, you will not see the generosity of having 40 boulders and 10 diggers and 25 bashers and whatnot. No. You'll have 4 of those, 2 of those, 1 of those, 1 of those, and 0 of everything else. And again, the hallmark of a good puzzle game. There are classics, and then there are classics, and then there are unique classics, and I have to admit, I'm not the greatest puzzle fan in the world. I do enjoy them, but for the purpose of recording this video, I fell in love with Lemmings all over again. I played it for 5 minutes and then I was hooked. That's the kind of game it is. It has an instant appeal because of its graphical style, because of the gameplay style, and you start feeling sorry for every single time a lemming accidentally dies, or sometimes you snigger and giggle when you decide to make sure all the lemmings die in a pixel shower. But the qualities of this game is undeniable. It is for all intents and purposes a extremely high quality, extremely well polished and extremely well made game. If someone was to ask me what I would consider to be the single most unique Amiga game and Amiga classic, I would be hard pushed not to say Lemmings. Obviously it had a sequel and another sequel, and seasonal levels were released through computer magazines and all sorts of things, and while the later versions had a similar gameplay, when you have a breakthrough kind of game like this, it is the fact that it is uniquely unique that draws it, or that gives it the draw that it has. And yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that Lemmings is the best Amiga game ever made. That is entirely an individual opinion, I think it's called. That took a bit of time to work that word out, sorry. But it is undeniably a true classic, and yeah, I would definitely consider this to be one of the best unique games ever made. On the Amiga or any other platform, it doesn't matter, and it's nothing to do with Amiga BIOS. It's nothing to do with puzzle BIOS, because I've BIOS, yeah, that's what it's called. I have quite clearly said that I am not the biggest puzzler in the world, but I can respect quality when I see it, and Lemmings oozes quality. Whether you are a skilled puzzler or you are an aspiring puzzle gamer, Lemmings has it all, and it is a remarkable little game that, despite its on surface simplicity, has something to offer for everyone. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.